If I could have everybody's attention here in the media center. We're now joined by Carl Edwards, driver of the number 19 Sport Clips Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Carl, you spent a lot of time here recently up in Boston. Could you just explain what you were doing and your experience here? You actually got a long tradition here in New England.
Yeah, so had a really good time coming up to Boston, hanging out with a lot of you guys, especially the Speedway Illustrated folks and everyone from the Speedway. Got to go tour the USS Constitution, which was really neat. They gave me a book all about what it was like for the average sailor on that ship, and that was I've been reading that. I've been really enjoying that. And now we're here at the racetrack, and it's one of the tougher racetracks on the schedule. It's a very precise racetrack. Today was a battle for us in practice, and we figured a couple of things out, and I feel really good about it. So we'll go to qualifying now, and hopefully we can keep the streak going in qualifying. We've been good here for the last year.
Pretty darn good. We'll open to the questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll start with Mark and work our way around.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Carl, obviously big news. Dale Jr.'s out of the car. Your reaction to that, and the ability now for drivers to sit out a race or two or eight and still be able to accomplish some season-ending goals?
I don't know any details about it, but I can say first thing, my thoughts are with Dale. For him to step out of the race car, it must be something serious. So I hope he recovers quickly. And second, I have a lot of respect for him for making the decision. I can't imagine how tough that decision would be. But yeah, I guess right now with the format, you do have the opportunity to take care of yourself, do what you think is right, and still have a shot at the championship.
Let's go to Rich next.
Hi, Kyle. Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. You're 18 races into the season with Dave. How's that going?
Dave's the man. I mean, he's unreal. I'm really enjoying Dave Rogers, his father. Dave is here today, and I enjoy hanging out with him. I got the chance to come up this way in the winter and ride snowmobiles with the LeCaires and all of them, and we've been having a blast. So I've really enjoyed it. Dave told me, he said, I know Kansas is a big deal for you. That's your home track, and you want to win it. He said, but New Hampshire is a big deal to me. So he wants to win this race. He's engaged.
We'll go to Lewis and then to Fluto.
Lewis Frank of Reuters.
What's up, man?
I don't think I've asked you this in a while. How is driving over the seams here? How can you explain?
Oh, man. It was treacherous this morning. With the modified rubber, you go out there in the morning, and the lane is very narrow where you have grip. And if you get out of the lane, I start having all these flashbacks to times I've run into the fence here when I've slid up and got out of the groove. And you get up there in the slick rubber and the marbles, or you axle hop. So it's very touchy, but you can use those seams and the different banking levels all around the racetrack. You can use them to kind of tune your car on the fly, and it doesn't always make you faster, but at least you feel like you're doing something. It gives you something to do in there, and feel like you can work at it. But this is like I said to begin with, it's a technical racetrack. It's very tough. The way you drive around the corners and your inputs make a huge difference on lap time, and that seems a part of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Fluto.
Hi, Carl. Fluto Shinzawa, Boston Globe. All you drivers were dealing with a bunch of variables last week in Kentucky with the downforce and tires and the groove.
Yeah.
What has the transition been like for you coming here off of that? Just the difference maybe within the car from last week to this week?
There's a lot more comfort coming here than Kentucky last week, just because this track, as difficult as it is, it's still relatively, it's a known entity. You come here and you know what to expect. Last week was driving to the racetrack. I thought, man, I have no clue how this is going to drive. I don't think anyone did. So a little more comfort coming here. It feels like we're back in the groove.
Go back there. To your right.
Drew Bonner from the Concord Monitor. Carl, just a lot more consistency and high finishes from you at this point this year versus where you were at this point last year. Are you just feeling more comfortable with the operation this time around in the second year, and can you just elaborate on that?
I think a couple of factors. The beginning of last year, I didn't expect the change over to JGR to be. I didn't expect it to. It was a bigger deal than I expected. I think I tried a little too hard to begin with. I made some moves and some mistakes that I haven't made for a long time. But once I settled in, I felt like, I feel like I'm doing a better job now. But I also feel like, I'm riding the wave that is JGR. These guys, they've been working a long time to get to this point. I feel like the lucky recipient of all of that hard work. And right now, you can just look at the scoreboard every week and the speed charts. Our Toyotas are really fast. And, I can't point to one thing. I think overall it's just TRD, JGR, all the folks that do all this, and us teammates working together that gives us those results.
Mark?
Carl, can you talk a little bit about next week at Indy? Just how big a race is that for a team to win? We've been going there a while, but is it still one of the biggies?
I can tell you Indy's big enough. I remember my second place finish very clearly. That one sticks with me. So it's a big deal. I went to Indianapolis the first time with Hendrick Motorsports and Ken Schrader. I was working at a shop during the summer, and they let me ride in Kenny's ARCA hauler with one of the 25 cars. Got to ride in the hauler, to the track, hang around, polish wheels in the garage, and just being at Indy was the coolest thing ever. In the morning, one of the yellow shirts let me go out first thing and stand on the front straightaway, and I actually have a Polaroid picture of that. And so to go there and to drive is spectacular. To win would be unbelievable.
And we'll wrap it up here up front with Lewis.
Carl, what is your understanding of the rule of entering the pits and speeding up to go into your pit box?
I have no clue. And I haven't seen any of the replays or any of that. So what did he do? What did Martin do?
Martin overtook the race leader at the time. Now I forget.
Okay.
I forget who. Harvick, and on the left.
Okay.
The rule is you go, once you enter the pit lane, you hit the speed, you hit the timing light. You can go into your pits as long as you're under the speed limit. And he passed Harvick on
Did
the
they
left.
come on to pit road in line though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go watch it.
Oh, okay.
I need to watch it because obviously it's something that could affect your race. So knowing that would be important.
Carl, good luck this
Okay.
weekend. Thanks for joining
Thanks.
us.
Is
today.
Adam Sandler coming this weekend at all? Do you know?
I don't know, but he's right there on the wall.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if he'd been around. I'd seen there'd been an injury here. Maybe some security had to
Yeah.
fight somebody off or something.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. We're not sure.
Yeah,
All right.
you
All right.
bet. If I can have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet. Kyle, you've announced some big news this week, getting ready to make a trip to Eldora, but you're here at a racetrack where you've performed well in the past. Some exciting times for the 42, huh?
Excited about next week, but first off, gotta have a good weekend here. We struggled here last year. Was really good. My first season in Cup, but last year this is probably our worst racetrack. So not off to a good start here in practice. I thought we're off a little bit, but me as well. This track's just tough for me. So look at some notes and stuff, and Jamie's pretty quick, so I've been talking to him a little bit here after practice and trying to learn as much as I can. So just hoping for a good weekend. We've been getting closer and closer in the points that getting in position to make the chase. So we just got to keep working hard, be consistent, not have any bad races, and hopefully can get there.
Good deal. Let's open up the questions. If you have a question, we'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Claire B. Lang.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. With Dale Jr.'s news today, it really surprised a lot of people. What about as a driver? And what are your associations or thoughts about concussions for drivers, whether you've ever come close to getting one?
It's just, hats off to Junior for making that choice on his own, I guess, to sit this weekend out and kind of work on getting himself better. Cool opportunity for Alex Bowman. You hate to see it, be of that nature, but NASCAR does a great job, with making these cars safer and safer, and as well as we have some good doctors we can all go see if we are not feeling right. We have the impact test and things like that to make sure we're 100%. And obviously he knew something was wrong, and took the actions upon himself to go see, I guess, doctors, and then ultimately sit this weekend out. So hope he gets better soon. It's definitely weird to see somebody else in that 88 car. But he'll be back quickly, I hope, and can have a good rest of the year. I've wrecked a lot. I've wrecked a lot for sure. I don't know if I've ever had an actual concussion. I'm sure we've all probably had minor ones. You've probably had minor ones yourself. So I don't know though. I know for a fact I've never had a major concussion. So, but it's always something you gotta keep an eye on. And whenever I've wrecked hard in this NASCAR stuff, I've gone to take the impact test to make sure everything's right with me. So just safety is the number one thing for all of us racers, and concussions has become a big deal here the last few years.
Questions for Kyle. Let's go to Bob and then to Mark.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Next week at Eldora, you're racing, and a lot of focus will be on you, but some of it will also probably be on Rico, considering he's racing there all weekend this weekend. How would you assess how he's doing in his first year of trucks, and how long would you expect it to really take for him to adapt to where he feels like he can be, top 5, top 10 week in and week out?
Yeah, man, Rico, he almost won Texas a few weeks ago, so that was cool. So, Rico he's only been racing for less than 10 years. He's 24 now. I think he started when he was 16. It's always kind of taken him, a year or two to get, things rolling where he can be consistent and figure out how to win. But once he does, he's, as good as it gets. Sprint cars, it took him 3 years probably, and now he's, considered a favorite every time he goes to racetrack. Where, I think he'll learn a lot throughout this year of truck racing, and hopefully by the end of the year, he'll be consistently in the top 10 and stuff like that. And I think he was making a lot of improvements there within himself and with his race team up until the fire at their shop. And now I think they've lost a lot of their trucks and stuff like that, and resources and things. So you've seen his performance kind of fall off a little bit here lately. But I think once they get the shop all finished up and get some new trucks built, he'll be back to run up front. Texas was a cool one for him. I didn't think he'd get that close to winning a race that early in his truck career. But the mile and a halves and stuff, he's got a similar driving style to me. I think I do better on mile and a halves, and Rico also does. So he'll have some good tracks coming up for him here soon, and hopefully can get a win or two.
Go to Mark, and then the Jim, and then the Lee, and then the Rich.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kyle, once upon a time, these guys, Mario Andretti and Rutherford and all these guys, AJ, they ran sprint cars during the week, jumped in Indy cars on the weekend. If you were in a sprint car, that's what you aspired to do, run the Indy 500. When you started, did you have those aspirations, and do you hope maybe one day to be able to do the Indy 500?
Well, I love racing any type of car, any day of the week. I don't get to do it a whole lot anymore. But that's kind of what I did my whole career growing up, or at least, in my bigger car racing. So from the time I was probably 15 on to now, I would just race anything I could, any day of the week. I still race my go-kart every once in a while. Still get to run, a handful of sprint car midget races. I would love to run the Indy 500 someday. I probably needed to focus on the NASCAR stuff, more before I think about doing that. I'm still winless in the Cup Series, and so I need to probably accomplish that before I can do the Indy 500. But yeah, I would love to, and Chip has great IndyCar equipment. Those people or his guys that work on all that stuff, guys and gals that work on all that stuff, do a really good job. They're always a favorite when they go to the Indy 500. So hopefully someday I can run the Indy 500. That's I think it's the biggest race in the world. Bigger than our Daytona 500, Brickyard 400, any of those races. So would love to have the opportunity just to start that someday.
Jim, and then the Lee.
Jim Noble with PRN and Sirius. This is going to be a fight throughout the summer for you to try to get into the chase. As time goes on, do you look back at the Dover race as any type of missed opportunity? If that race were tomorrow or later in the season, would you race Matt Kenseth any differently, knowing how hard it is to qualify for this chase?
I don't know. I respect Matt a lot. Obviously, had I moved him and got the win, I'd be in the chase right now. But I don't know. I felt like I raced him the way I should race people and the way I want to be raced and the way I feel like Matt would have raced me. And I know Matt will race me like that from here on out. So I feel like I did the right thing. Yes, I'm working hard still to get in the chase, but Matt Kenseth to me is one of the cleanest, nicest, best race car drivers there is in the garage area. And like I said, I think I did the right thing.
Go next to Lee, and then to Rich, and then right over here.
LeeSpencerMotorsport.com. It was unfortunate we didn't get to hear from you on Tuesday at Indy, but just curious about what kind of stuff you tried with your car, how your car felt. What are your expectations for next Sunday's race?
Yeah, I thought the Indy test went well. The first day we struggled with being a little bit tight, I thought. And then there at the very end of the day, even with the track kind of cooling down at the end, I thought we made some pretty big improvements. And then the second day, we were pretty good. I think we had the third fastest lap. Jimmy was really good. And then I was right there with Harvick. Long run stuff, I thought we were okay as well. So anytime you go to a track to test, spend a couple days at testing, you're always, or it seems like for us, we're always pretty good when we go back to a race. So I'm looking forward to the Brickyard. Indy's a cool track. Tough to pass, but it's fun track. Lots of friends there from my USAC days. So I always look forward to it.
We'll go to Rich, then to Dustin and Lenny.
Hi, Kyle. Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Are you starting to get a better handle, though, on how to run this track, and how are you working with Chad to address those issues?
Well, I would say no, considering my stats. Here in 2012, 13, and 14, I was really good. This is probably my best statistical track, from K&N to Xfinity and then to Cup, a second and a third in my first year. And then last year we were really, really bad. This was our worst track. And so I didn't have a ton of confidence coming into this. But, practice, we didn't get a whole lot of laps. But practice didn't go great for us in our 42 team. But we made a race run there at the end, and I thought we got better, decent lap times. Qualifying trim, we were way off. But it's just a tough track. It's like a big Martinsville. I know I ran good at Martinsville earlier this year, but I'm not normally good there. So I don't know. It's like I said, it's just tough. It's different than a lot of the racetracks we go to, and just got to work hard at getting better. I think since NASCAR has killed the horsepower, that's kind of what's hurt me the most here. Rolling momentum and stuff like that. So I just got to get a little better on my end, probably more so than the car.
Dustin?
Dustin Albino, front stretch. Kyle, I asked you something similar following the Dover race. Now that you've put together a good stretch of races, do you feel like the organization's turned the corner?
Yeah. When we had those couple good races, I think Kansas, Dover, around that time, we had made a lot of changes, prior to that. Didn't really know if our cars were that much better or if we just got lucky or whatever. And it seems like now we're pretty competitive each weekend. So I think we've partly turned the corner. We still have a long ways to go to be consistently contending for top 8s or so, top 5s, top 8 finishes. But it's a lot better than when we started the year. We were hoping for top 20s. I felt like at least within myself. So. We've definitely gotten our stuff way quicker, better on the long runs. Still got to work on the long run stuff. Last week you could see that we were good short run stuff, but long runs we were bad. yeah, it's fun now to be show up to the racetrack knowing that you're going to be somewhat competitive. And early in the year, I was not excited to be at the racetrack. So it's been fun now. Just got to keep working hard.
Finish up with Lenny in the back.
Len Salmon at Recent News. When you satellite race with your sprint car and the midget and whatnot, do you have to get permission from Ganassi and whatnot to do that? And in light of Dale's injury, does that turn the heat up on it a little bit more? I know you got Knoxville coming up too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have to get permission. I give them a list of races early in the year that I want to run. Obviously, that stuff kind of changes. If rainouts happen, then I can run a different one or something like that. I try to only run, or at least this year, I'm trying to only run about 20, 25. And I'm already almost to that. So, I don't know. I mean, it's not like Dale got hurt in a sprint car, so I don't think that matters. But obviously, the thought's always there, I'm sure, on Chip's end of me getting injured or something like that. But to me, I don't think about anything like that when I'm out there racing. If I was worried about getting hurt, I wouldn't do it. And if I was worried about it and I was racing still, I probably wouldn't be very competitive. So I just try and have fun when I go do that stuff. Looking forward to the Nationals. I got to run a couple times. We've been really good there, or we've been really good in the sprint car whenever I ran this year. So tough race though, but hopefully we can get a win in the Cup Series before we go there, so we don't have to worry about anything crazy happening.
Well, good luck, Kyle, and best of luck the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
If I could have everybody's attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. Joey, you've been a busy guy the last couple days, particularly yesterday. I heard it was a very productive day for a great cause, the Joey Logano Foundation.
Yeah, we had our golf tournament yesterday and our dinner last night. We had a ton of people there, over 500 people there. We raised around $200,000. We're still waiting for the end number, but what a great event. More than I expected. And that was really exciting to do that in my home area, see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. And I wish I got to spend more time there as I got in from Indy the night before and did the event. We flew up here last night, so I didn't get to spend much time at home, but it is nice to see everyone, and a lot of them are coming up here anyway. So it's always a fun weekend for me to come to New England and New Hampshire particularly.
Pretty good at this track. You have a good history here.
Yeah, we've been okay. I don't feel like it's our best racetrack, but we've made huge progress. I talked about I was looking at this picture over here when we won that race. That, in my mind, is the biggest win of my career, larger than Daytona, because it is such a challenging racetrack for me personally. It took me a very long time to understand how to go fast around this place, and to kind of conquer your toughest racetrack, which happens to be your home racetrack. It was a very special day.
That's awesome. Let's open the floor up to questions. We'll start with Claire and go to Lee.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Joey, can you talk about your foundation? And you've raised over $1 million now with your foundation. The whole inner core philosophy that a lot of people don't know about Joey Logano that actually is the core of all of this?
Well, just I talked a little bit last night about having a new goal, and the goal for me in the past used to just be win championships, and then I talk about being a champion in life and what that means. That means just doing a lot more things than on the racetrack, and being able to change people's lives. And last night I think we definitely changed some people's lives. We inspired a lot of people to help in that direction. And we had such a great event. We had Jeff Hansen was there, does the paintings. He won the humanitarian award last year. And there's somebody that changes some lives. He's given $2 million to over 200 different charities. And he's younger than me. I think he's like 23 or something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on the age. But that's incredible. And he was there, and he's sold a couple paintings for $20,000 each last night. That is incredible, amazing kid to able to come up there, and we appreciate him being there. But it's an amazing night with a lot of generosity through a lot of people.
Betty Jane France Humanitarian Award
Yes.
winner, Jeffrey Hansen. That's good. Let's go to Lee.
Lee Spencer at motorsport.com. Real quick, you talked about that picture. Was that kind of vindication because people questioned that first win here?
Oh, yeah. The first one you're talking about? Yeah, the first one was, it is what it is. I mean, it's in the record book, so I take it. It just wasn't the way that most wins come or the way that, any driver really wants to get them, but you take them any way you can because I've lost a lot since then that way. So I'm okay with taking the win the way we got it, but winning it the second time the way we did it meant more. Yes, it felt to me like my first win at this track because we won it the right way, in my opinion.
And where, after what happened last week at Kentucky, where do you stand on the new package? Because somebody who's been so good every time NASCAR has changed a package, to have that kind of, I don't want to say instability, but it didn't seem like the traditional Joey Logano out there in that car.
Yeah, we identified some mistakes that we made in practice, and I feel like I steered the team down the wrong direction in practice, which cost us when the race started. So I'm glad we identified our mistake. It's not a bad thing to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, and we definitely learned from the mistakes we made there. Before the race started, obviously there's mistakes when the race started as well, but before the race is what put us in that position, to kind of get, I don't want to say pushed around, but just in a different, not racing the way you want to and racing to stay in certain positions and not being aggressive to move forward. So, we identified where those issues were. I think the new package, and you can say new package, the 17 package, which, we don't know what the new package is going to be, but the 17 package was, it's loose, and it's directionally, percentage-wise, aerially to the front. Which makes the cars freer, and we have to mechanically tighten our cars up a lot, and then it's really hard to get them to turn. So I think the balance is a little bit off. I think we can tweak it a little bit and make it better for sure. Where we're going to go with it, I don't know, but I think we can definitely make some improvements on it, and I think the racing's good with it. I don't see anything wrong. I think it's cool when you see cars. Unfortunately, I was one of them last week, but I think it's cool when you see cars sideways and out of control and crashing. That means it's really hard to do, and it's supposed to be. This is a Sprint Cup level. It's not supposed to be easy, and it's definitely not by no means. But even with the 16 package, it's not easy. But I think when you see cars sideways and having those oh my God moments when things are about to go bad, I think that's entertaining, and I think that's good for our sport.
Good deal. We'll go to Lewis and over to Drew.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Speaking of wins, this part of the year, you're obviously going for wins, but you're looking at the chase. How much? And you kind of answered it. You experiment. Where does going for the win, stop and experimenting start?
It's a constant struggle every week, right? You want to. You can never stay stagnant and saying, okay, this worked last time, so we're going to do it again, because it's not going to work again, right? Because everyone's gotten better since the last time you go back to a racetrack. So, it's got to be constant improvement, and the only way you have constant improvement is you got to try new things. This week, I'm personally trying some new things because I feel like we've been stuck here at a fifth place car, which isn't bad, but we want to win, and this race is going to be a chase race. When we come back, it's going to be super important. So, hey, let's try to learn something. Let's try something different. So far, I think it's so far so good. You don't know till the race, but I think there's always ways to improve, and if you stop doing that, you're going to get passed before you know it. So we're constantly looking to find something new to answer your question, but we still keep a logbook on what we did.
Go to your back left of Drew.
Drew Bonifant with the Concord Monitor. Joey, can you just talk about, a lot of success for Penske these last few weeks. Just how much confidence do you have right now? Can you kind of elaborate on how it feels to go out on the track when you're running this well? And is it kind of a cautious optimism at all, just, knowing how fast things can change hands?
Yeah, they change quick, right? You see throughout the season, there's certain teams that are really good, and then they kind of fall off, and they come back, and it's just waves, right? And when a team finds something new, they're able to be successful, and then other teams catch up really quick. It's racing. I feel like our team does a good job at trying to stay as flat as we can, and I think we've recently found some speed in our race cars, really ever since Charlotte. I feel like we've been making some progress comparably to the field, and I think it's a good time for it. We got to start building that confidence and momentum up, and building faster race cars because I talk about finding another gear when we go to the chase. We're firing all 8 right now, but we got to find a 9th cylinder here in a few weeks that we don't believe is there right now, but you have to find a way to find it.
Go next to Jim.
JimMotorMotorsport.com. I'm sure you're familiar with Dale Jr.'s situation. I just wondered, as a younger guy, and I know you've been around for a while, but you're still a younger guy, do you spend any more time these days thinking about a little bit more about potential ramifications or long-term ramifications of injuries and so forth? I know you said you recently had one of the hardest hits of your career, and how that might play forward. You think about it a little bit more?
You think about it, but not when you're in the race car. It's a huge distraction. If you think about that in a race car, you're never going to win again. But I think when I'm away from not in the race car and we're at the shop and we're talking about that stuff, it's something that you should talk about. It's serious, right? Your safety in your life is something that you should put some thought into. As I get older, I think about that stuff more often. I don't do as many crazy things away from the racetrack that I used to. You're more cautious and you just become, I think, just maybe cautious in the right word, you just become smarter. Things you just know you shouldn't do, because you know what's on the line here at the racetrack. But, in the race car, I feel safe inside mine. I know Team Penske does a great job building our race cars, and NASCAR's done a good job here recently and on adding a lot of safer barrier to the racetracks, and I think that's helped a ton with a lot of these hits. I thought last week when I was going into the wall, I was like, this is going to hurt really, really bad, and I thought possibly it's going to hurt me. I had 3 seconds to think about it before I hit the wall. So I thought this is going to really be bad, and really I was fine, and I was really impressed by the safety that not just Penske's done, but NASCAR's done to get these cars safer.
Well, Joey, best of luck to you this weekend. Hope we get another win.
Great. Thank you, guys.